Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Founders Cut. Today, I'm here with Ashley and Jenny, co-founders of Momease. Um, I had a pleasure of getting to know these two co-founders for quite a while now, actually. Since we're both in Minnesota and in the healthcare space, it's a pretty small world. So, before we jump into what Momease is, love to just kind of have a chance to introduce both of you. So, if you wouldn't mind, maybe we'll just start with Ashley, if you want to introduce yourself, and then pass it off to Jenny.
Sure, thank you. Hi, I'm Ashley. I am the founder and CEO of Momease Solutions. I come from a background of scientific research. I did a PhD study in women's cancer chemoresistance. Always been really passionate about how scientific discovery can impact women's health. After my PhD, I transitioned into a scientific industry role focused on written communication, particularly in seeking federal grant applications to support early stage R&D for startups in the healthcare industry. And because of that, I got to know a lot of the landmarks of entrepreneurship and what makes a really compelling scientific innovation with a chance to succeed. And that ended up playing really well after I became a new mom in 2021 and started to struggle to collect breast milk for my daughter via a breast pump, despite having no trouble nursing. So I knew it wasn't a matter of volume issue, it was a matter of the collection technique. And I felt like there was a big gap in the industry that we might be able to address and started working on that right away the same year.
I'm Jenny. I am a co-founder and president of Momease. I am a serial nonprofit founder. I founded two Minnesota-based nonprofits focused on child development and family well-being. So I'm frequently working with a population who's experiencing the throes of postpartum and motherhood. I originally got connected with Ashley through mutual business contacts. And when she showed me her idea for Momease, I got really excited. My favorite phase is obviously the ideation phase. I love going from 0 to 1 to taking an idea and rolling with it. So I was really passionate and excited about bringing the Momease product to life.
And so you both didn't know each other before this company existed. Is that correct?
We met as kind of business colleagues. So I think one of the most important things in terms of surviving the early stages of entrepreneurships in the startup world is having those peer-to-peer connections that are also trying to go 0 to 1. And because we were in similar business spaces, we used to just meet and grab coffee, talk about our businesses, the stage that we were at, any tips and advice we could give each other. And then through those conversations, learn that there was a lot of synergy between our different skill sets and an opportunity to really succeed together.
Yeah, I was gonna ask because one of the hardest things about starting a company is finding the right team fit, not just, everyone talks about product market fit and finding your customers, but the step that a lot of people overlook is just finding the right people to work with. And so it's cool to hear that you didn't try to force it. It just kind of happened naturally. I think a lot of times people are in too big of a rush to find a partner or hire somebody, and so they make the wrong decision. So it's good to hear that it wasn't something that either side was trying to force to make it happen. Let's take a second to actually introduce the company, right? So what are you building? What problem are you solving? You kind of alluded to it, but love to dive a little deeper.
Yeah, I alluded to it in my introduction, but essentially, I had an 8 week maternity leave. I had no problems nursing my daughter. She was growing. I was producing enough breast milk. And then when I went back to work, naively, I thought that I would be able to collect the same volume of breast milk remotely to sustain breastfeeding because the World Health Organization, the American Academy of Pediatrics, both of these organizations recommend exclusive breast milk through 6 months of age as the ideal form of nutrition. So that was definitely my goal. Unfortunately, when I went back to work, the breast pump was not collecting nearly enough milk for me to feed my daughter, and it was taking away hours of my day in a desperate effort to try and make it work for me. So, coming from a scientific background, I was looking into techniques that I could use to improve the breast pump experience. And I saw that there's actually literature studies out there that show if you apply warm compresses to the breast prior to pumping, or if you use your hands to massage the breast while pumping, you actually achieve nearly 50% more milk volume in less time using a breast pump. And while that's super exciting, those manual methods were super cumbersome to apply to an already cumbersome process. So I was looking into a product I could purchase that would apply this warmth and pressure to my breast while using a suction-based breast pump to have everything in combination similar to an infant nursing at the breast to really efficiently collect my breast milk. And I was shocked to see that there is no product on the market today that applies warmth and pressure to the breast while pumping. And that was the origin of Momease Solutions. Our goal is to create an accessory that's in a very familiar form factor for women. It's a bra accessory that they can use hands-free to apply warmth and pressure while pumping to dramatically improve their results, get them the milk volume they need to meet those nutritional goals, but also get them back to life, whatever that life may look like.
No, that's such a brilliantly, elegantly simple solution. The simpler the better, I think. Like if you can explain it to an eighth grader, I think, and they get it and it actually works. That's like the perfect intersection of where true
Mhm.
innovation can happen. Talk me through like the early stages. Where are you at now? How have you tested it on mothers? What kind of feedback have you gotten so far?
Yeah, so we founded the company in late 2021. And then our first year is actually something I would advise any startup founder to do. It was really focused on customer discovery and that relationship building within the field. Customer discovery meaning I had this problem, but is this a problem that a lot of women are facing? How many women are facing this problem? What are the similarities there? What are those pain points? And I think it's pretty obvious that it's a pretty ubiquitous problem. Only 1 in 4 infants are meeting that exclusive breast milk goal at 6 months. It's particularly bad in the United States, where women are often going back to work earlier than 6 months and forced to express breast milk remotely. So breast pumps have been a number 1 pain point. But beyond that, I actually released a customer discovery survey just over social media, and we received over 1,200 responses from women in 24 hours. And I think that response rate alone speaks to the desperation women have to see some improvement here and their willingness to, at minimum, give away their time, but through the answers in the survey, also their money and their effort to try to improve this experience. So that was really, great justification to pursue this, and having that early customer discovery information early in our business trajectory allowed us to really design this product according to user needs, which will hopefully help us penetrate the market with a better product market fit at the point of launch. After we did customer discovery and relationship building, really kind of made a name for ourselves in the field through pitch competitions and exposure. We were able to win a grant from the National Institutes of Health, the Small Business Innovation Research Program, specifically Child Health and Human Development. And that grant is supporting our current R&D research, which is to create a prototype so we can do user testing. So we are at the point now where we've got a workable prototype. I am actually 9 months pregnant. I don't know if you knew that. So I will be the first product tester, which is kind of a fun full circle moment. And I'll kind of test the more nascent prototype stage, give feedback, and then we'll improve its design and form function before we would integrate other users into that efficacy testing.
Yeah, it's kind of cool that you get to try your product right
Yeah,
alongside the development journey. Um, Obviously, you started it because you had that same pain point, but it'll
exactly.
be fun to say you can be beta tester or alpha tester number one.
Hmm.
Um, tell me a little bit about like the math behind this, right? Like how big of an opportunity is this space? I mean, I know there's 4 million kids born every year in the U.S. alone.
Hmm.
A lot of those are to working mothers. Like break down like how many mothers experience this issue, this heartache, and like what you think the potential is.
Yeah, and that's just the United States, which
Right.
is our beachhead market. Millions of new mothers every year. all of which, or not all of which, but a large majority of which, I think it's something like 85% are going to use a breast pump. And keep in mind, people use a breast pump for many different reasons, not just because they're going back to work. That was my personal experience,
Sure.
but also to share infant feeding, to reduce that burden on mothers as the singular care provider as we're, achieving greater states of parental equality in the United States, making sure you get time for personal care, making sure you can drop your baby off at daycare or a babysitter, and of course, going back to work. So I think nearly all of those 85% of breast pump users from the millions of mothers, new mothers every year, would benefit from a product like this at minimally, if not to make more milk faster, which is a huge, obviously, value proposition, but also to do so more comfortably. Suction alone is an incomplete mechanism, and that's why women are spending so long at the pump. They're increasing their suction power to the maximum uncomfortable level to try and make it work for them. And these are pain points that were reported, 97% of users in our customer discovery survey reported problems using a breast pump. So something that can make the process more comfortable, warmth, massage, lower that suction power, get the same results. It could benefit even users that don't realize that the breast pump experience could be better.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. This question is for both of you, obviously. Where do you see the company at its biggest and greatest?
Yeah, actually, Jenny will probably be a better numbers girl than me on this because she's got a lot of long-term vision in terms of our sales. But due to those early, field integration interactions, we noticed that there were multiple opportunities to get this product into the hands of people that need it, both direct to consumer, which seems like an obvious sales route, but also business to business. Breast pump manufacturers, the big breast pump players in the field, there are very few of them dominating a large fraction of the market. And they're trying to compete with each other, advertising 11% increases in milk output compared to competitors. So, what if we could offer 50% by licensing our product and bundling it together with some breast pump companies? And beyond that, there are also opportunities within a hospital setting to sell business to business because mothers of preterm infants often are forced to exclusively breast pump because their infants are too early, too weak to nurse at the breast, but they depend even more on breast milk nutrition to thrive. So if we could make them produce their milk earlier, kind of stimulate that milk production, help them get more milk faster so they can get back to being with their infant and giving that skin to skin contact time that is so beneficial. Also, time back with their families at an extremely stressful point. There are huge opportunities within the hospital setting, and we actually have a NICU lactation advisor as one of our company advisors for that purpose. So we see kind of a multifaceted integration into both society direct to consumer, convenience direct to consumer, but also these really critical healthcare milestones as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're already garnering a lot of interest. People organically come to our website, which is really exciting and just really highlights the need for this product. Something that Ashley and I are going to be really excited about is we're having initial thoughts of how do we want to introduce this product to the market. We're thinking a crowdfunding campaign would be a really great way to get people excited. But just beyond that, we'll have, as we try to grow in our business to consumer initiatives, we will obviously have direct to consumer sales through our websites. We would love to be in brick and mortar stores, either specialized boutiques or big box retailers, be listed on, online retailing platforms. Just really a multi-industry approach or a multi-channel approach to really get our product in consumers' hands. And beyond that, we've really explored the idea of being listed on like Baby List and be at retail end caps, just really highlighting our product in the places that mothers are going to be. And then finally, as we kind of pivot towards, what will our marketing plan look like as we grow, we would really love to kind of partner with influencers. That's kind of a big, mothers are really looking for trusted resources when it comes to new products. And we would love to be able to really get to our consumers through those trusted resources. So finding ways to connect with mothers through magazines or through influencers is going to be really important for our product's launch and really expanding on the market.
Yeah, I think that all makes a lot of sense. When we think about, this year, we're already a third of the way through, which is kind of scary to think about, or close to a third of the way through. What are the exciting milestones you have on the horizon?
Yeah, well, to be able to test the product is really exciting. But also, we really want to make sure that the product that we sell has a lot of integrity behind it. I think
Mhm.
that particularly for motherhood, parent products, the products that are going to be interacting with your baby or impacting your baby, that becomes extremely important and should be. So, something we're really
Mhm.
excited about is that we've established a partnership with a professor at the University of Minnesota who's a professor in nutrition, breast milk nutrition science. And she's applied with us for our follow on phase 2 grant opportunity at the National Institutes of Health to really do a large clinical study on evaluating the performance of this bra in different sectors of the breastfeeding lifespan, whether it's early 6 months post birth, whether it's morning or evening, and really kind of suss out those details of how we can make the most impact with our product. And I think that will go a long way with consumers. And we're really excited to get back to my scientific research roots that way as well. I think it's going to be beneficial to marketing and sales, but also beneficial to still in this learning stage, any final steps of optimization that we can integrate into product development while we're working through kind of the beta prototyping stage.
Gotcha. Um, Question for both of you. For founders that might be listening to this, any advice you'd give somebody, any advice you'd give yourself that you wish someone gave you before you started on this journey?
I think for me, being a first time founder, unlike Jenny, there's some hesitation to jump in with 2 feet. And at least for myself, there was a desire to know the answers before entering
Mhm.
entrepreneurship. But I really think it's a matter of placing value behind your unique perspective and what you can bring to a field. So for women innovators in particular, the reason why there are these, quote unquote low-hanging fruit opportunities, like you said earlier, I could explain this concept to an eighth grader and it makes sense. Why doesn't it exist now? And I'm sure many mothers have thought, why doesn't the breast pump experience feel better? Why aren't we performing better? How can it still be a suction only based mechanism after 30 years? And it's because we need people with those lived experiences to bring that new perspective to innovation and entrepreneurship. And in some ways that requires taking the leap and just trusting that you can figure it out with time, effort, and resources dedicated to solving that problem. And that's why passion projects can lead to really successful blockbuster startup opportunities.
For me, I think it kind of echoes what a lot of parents experience. It's a very new time and it's it's very confusing at times and oftentimes it's lonely. Being a founder can be very lonely. I went through a very lonely period when I started one of my nonprofits and it doesn't feel great. So I feel like if I had one piece of advice is seek out a community as soon as possible. Ashley and I have each other for co-founders, and that's great. But continuing to really cultivate a relationship with others who really understand what you're going through is really important for the health of your business, the success of your business, but also just mentally for you. It'll make the process a lot easier to establish a community where you feel supported, where you can kind of bounce ideas off of each other. You can go to networking events together or meet each other at networking events. It just having a community makes this process a lot easier and a lot more fun, I will say. So if I could give one piece of advice, that would be it.
Yeah. I think both of those things are great pieces of advice. I always struggle with the community part because it takes so much time to build community.
Mm,
But you're absolutely right because I think for a company to succeed, you need to be connected with the right people, or at least just people that can be sounding boards or be there to hear you complain and not going to get upset because they've been there, so they have the same empathy, right? Like I can't
mhm.
complain to someone that works in a corporate job about the same struggles. They're going to have different complaints than I have, right? And I won't understand theirs, and
Absolutely.
they won't understand ours. But so I think like whatever you can do to meaningfully build doesn't have to be huge. It can be like two or three other.
Mhm.
I still stay connected with some of the first founders I worked with when I was at Generator in the first cohort, and I still stay connected with. It's been what 6 7 years now since I met them, and they're probably some of the closest founders that I know in my network. And even though I'm doing a venture fund now, still a founder in a lot of ways, so they still understand the same struggles. Same struggles, just different different end users, different customers. But yeah, for sure, I
Mhm.
think that's great advice. Kind of as we wrap up, I always like to make this call to action a little bit easier because I think in the Midwest and just founders in general here locally don't ask directly. So I like to just put it out there for them. What are the types of folks you're trying to get connected with? It could be customers, investors, advisors. Like who are you trying to get connected with uh, for the rest of this year and beyond?
That is nice of you to ask. Yeah, Jenny can also jump in here if I'm missing anyone, but I know, like she said, we've got our sights on product launch hopefully next year. And if we are able to achieve that through the current research and development trajectory that we're on, it'd be great if this product interests you or you know of someone who could use this product to follow us on social media to see when our progress effort towards product launch is going to occur so you can be the first to know. And like we said, we'll also work on crowdfunding efforts that would include a pre-sale tier so that if this is something that you know you want to try or you have someone in your life who's about to have a baby soon or will be trying to have a baby soon, keep an eye out for that as well because it's going to be the earliest way to get our first launch into your hands and really try to make that immediate impact that we're looking to have.
Love it. Yeah, I can definitely reach out to some people that I know that are expecting this year, see if they're interested or have had
Mhm.
issues themselves. Maybe,
Yeah.
I can ask weird questions like that because they know I work in startups.
Yeah. And even before product launch, we will likely be doing user testing, whether it's through that more robust NIH funded clinical study at the U of M or more consumer research type efforts. We definitely
Mhm.
want to make sure that this is a product that has end user input from beginning to launch. So if they need the product more imminently, even better reason to reach out and connect sooner so that we can make sure that they're on the lookout for any research opportunities.
Yeah, that sounds great. Remind me, this idea didn't start like at a university or anything, right? It was the two of you coming together and going through that whole process of innovation and
Mm-hmm.
patent and trademark and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
For those that might be out there trying to figure out how to be scrappy, any advice on that front?
Yeah, actually. So the reason, in large part, year one for us was a lot about customer discovery and networking within our field, is because we didn't have any money. So if you're a founder and you can relate to that struggle, not having any money, but being really passionate about an idea, know that there are still steps that you can take that are very beneficial to your business, that
Mhm.
are meaningful progress that you can leverage down the line. You know, we always say the fact that we got 1,200 responses in 24 hours in our customer discovery survey, we will be able to speak to that through the end of our business, whatever that looks like at point of exit. And it happened when we had $0 in the bank. It was a survey we put out over social media that made meaningful impact throughout not only product design, but also arguing the meaning behind what we're trying to accomplish. So don't underestimate yourself. Don't feel like you need a lot of capital in the bank to get started. There are a lot of productive opportunities for you early on if you're thinking strategically and making sure that you're doing things in a way that you can leverage as preliminary work, as data, as something tangible that people can sink their teeth into. That'll allow you to get that early traction that's sometimes the hardest to get and then receive the capital infusions that you need to take it further.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's great. Jenny, do you have something you wanted to add?
I would just say, similar to Ashley, be patient and start really networking right now and really start to flesh out like who are your mentors in this space and how you can really leverage what you already have to kind of get that initial traction going. We didn't have money in the bank, like Ashley said, but we still were able to make meaningful progress. And I think that was a combination of just being patient and knowing, continuing to look at non-dilutive funding efforts and applying for those. Also looking at potentially, what does a fundraise look like? But beyond that, just really honing in a community that would be able to help you through those initial first stages, I think was really valuable for us.
Yeah, I think that's really important. You hit on something that a lot of founders I think lose track of is there's so many times where you meet a founder for the first time and they just don't have that early stuff that you find when you don't have money, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they kind of circumvent it. Not that they don't think it's valuable, but they don't know how much power it actually can unlock or how much value it does actually hold. And so, yeah, if
Mm-hmm.
you're listening out there, yeah, I think it is important to take the time to do that early research and early discovery, because it does help make sure that you're extremely confident about what you're going towards too, right? Like, I bet if you didn't have those 1,200 early points of feedback, you might still have a little bit more doubt than you would have had.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Being where you are today, if you're just like, oh, we think this is what people want, but we don't know if they're gonna buy it. And so many times, you'd be surprised how many times companies build something, but they don't really know if someone's gonna buy it, right? Um,
Totally.
I think you all feel like, well, at a minimum, we've got 1,200 people that would buy it, right? And which is like
Yeah,
a great starting point to be at, right? And obviously, they're a slice of the pie, but it's just a snapshot in time. But it's still helpful because there's so many founders out there that don't even have that kind of. They can't even say 100 people, right?
hmm
So yeah, it's a
Mm-hmm.
big deal. Um, well, I want to thank both of you again for coming on and talking about your journey. Can you just mention the best social platform that they should follow? And like, is it on Instagram? What would be the best way for people to follow your progress?
Yeah, I'd say that we're most active on Instagram and LinkedIn to try to kind of meet those professional
Sure.
communities as well as those direct to consumer communities. And if you search Mommy's Solutions, then you should be able to find us. Mommy's is spelled, oh, I'm sure it'll be in the podcast title,
Yeah,
but
it'll be in there.
Momease. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
little play on words there.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you again so much for sharing your story and being transparent about the whole process. And I'm sure there's plenty of eager ears waiting to listen to this. So I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.